absolute, by definition, is something that holds up in all places, in all times, and under all conditions. Human beings have finite experience and simply cannot be so presumptuous as to assume that we have the requisite knowledge to be able to make claims about all spaces, all times, and all conditions. We therefore cannot declare anything to be absolute, and to do so is to overstep the bounds of our possible knowledge and fall into a realm where we begin to use language that doesn't conform to any actual phenomenon or relationships thereof. Keeping that point in mind, let's turn to the idea of God. To give a non-controversial definition of the word God is actually quite a difficult task. Instead, for the time being, let's just say that part of that definition would include the following attributes: omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence, and omnibenevolence. All four of these words run into the same problem. They're all absolutes. They are therefore unknowable by experience, even in principle. The primary conclusion that necessarily follows is that whether or not such a being exists, no human could possibly know it from any kind of experience. So while I can't say that no God exists, what I can say is that anybody who claims that one does is selling you snake oil. In other words, God may exist, but your God doesn't. If we can't know such a being by experience, is there a line of reason that could lead us to the conclusion that God exists? The difficulty in this question arises again with the four attributes that are required for any definition of God. For example, if we say that God is all-powerful, we assume that there is some undefined quantity called power that operates on a scale from 0 to God, or perhaps some set of undefined qualities called powers, and God has all of them. The difficulty here is that power is a word that describes the state of relationships between objects. The concept is therefore necessarily dependent on context, and to attempt to make it infinite, and therefore bigger than any particular context, is itself a contradiction. In other words, the word power is only meaningful given some touchstone of experience, and is therefore meaningless when removed from said experience. The example of the phrase all-powerful brings me to my second point. Because absolutes are necessarily beyond our experience, there is no way for a human to form coherent concepts of them that don't fall apart under scrutiny. And if this is the case, then there can be no logically consistent concept of a God to have a belief in.